What's up, YouTube? This is MetallicTCG, and today we're coming at you with a very different type of video that we've been doing. So, lately, I've been playing a new-ish card game that has been exclusively for digital called Shadowverse. It's available on Steam, you can always definitely check it into. However, with Shadowverse, it's always been a game that was always somewhat in the back of my mind, just curious to be able to give it a shot. And I actually did give it a shot, and honestly, I've been enjoying it, not gonna lie. So, with Shadowverse, what we'll actually do is we'll just do a deck playthrough and just kind of like, go through with it. And we'll just kind of go over there. Again, I'm still fairly new at this game, but I have been enjoying what the game has been offering. So, to me, it seems like it's very similar to stuff like what you would see like Hearthstone in terms of appearance, but it does borrow several elements from like, games such as Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, even Pokemon. But anyway, for now, let's just kind of like do an overview here. I'm gonna leave my thoughts in the video as well as I do play through a game, just so you can guys get an idea of like what some of the decks do. So within Shadowverse, there are several, I guess you would call it archetypes. Like there's different ways that different cards are being played. So for the character I've been using a lot, it's actually been Forestcraft. So with Forestcraft, this card uses a lot of like low costing creatures, but it also keeps your hand pretty filled, which kind of does remind me a little bit of the playstyle that I do for Magic the Gathering, being token based. So this was a deck style that I kind of resonated really well just because I had that familiarity. But there's also different kind of play styles as well, like for example, Swordcraft. This card has summons that you summon other followers such as 1/1 Knights. They're officers and they can be strengthened by their commander, so playing alongside with numbers to be able to gain advantage is really good. You also have stuff such as Runecraft. The spell boost cards in your hand become more powerful, so it seems like they just kind of like, getting powerful as you start playing cards. But again, as you can tell, each character has like their own different, priority, Dragoncraft, Spellcraft, so there's definitely a lot of variety in terms of how you can play your decks, and it can be very interesting as well because, again, some play styles might be more beneficial against, playing certain different kinds. So, again, for now, I'm going to, and you can kind of like go over and look at some of the different like, descriptions for Shadowcraft, Bloodcraft, stuff like that, Havencraft, and of course, Portalcraft. But again, like they all have like their own different plays. Like for example, this one, you want to activate multiple effects just to be able to kind of get more capital. But again, this one is all about having a lot of creatures at beginning, so I'm just gonna go with that. Let's just go with this one, I guess that's fine. But again, the deck I've been playing is very similar to just a lot of token-based creation, but also just having a lot of value being placed on as well. So you start off the game, and with the one, you only draw 3 cards, which is really interesting. And you can choose to mulligan either your entire hand or even one card, which to me is pretty interesting. Because the fact that you only start off with such a limited card pool, but also, have the ability to mulligan is pretty cool. So for this situation, again, each turn you do accumulate pretty much, mana. So we have a 2, 6, and 7. Honestly, that seems like it'd be kind of bad because I may not be able to really do anything for the time being. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually mulligan these 2 cards. I'm going to keep Send Store Claw Cat just because it does have some pretty good combo wombos, and we'll go from there. But again, yeah, we definitely want to like have lower costing creature stuff at first, just to be able to get stuff on the board. All right, so opening up, and also if you go second, you draw 2 cards. It's really interesting, and it's actually kind of cool too because I even drew Cynthia again, so I'm not really worried about it too much. But as you can tell, each creature has like, over here in the green, this is its cost that it does play, which is over here by, your turn counter. This is going to be the attack, this is going to be the events. Again, very similar to what you'd expect from card games such as Magic the Gathering. So at this point, what I really want to do is I'm just going to play Water Fairy. It's a pretty straightforward card to play as well, and there's really no other value for it. So with most creatures in this game, they do have summoning sickness. However, there are certain abilities such as Storm and Rush that does allow you to attack on the turn they are summoned. But unfortunately, I don't have any of those creatures right now on the field, so we're just going to end our turn. Fairy Whisper. And as you can see here, there's an ability that this creature actually had called Fanfare. It allows you to put 2 fairies into your hand, which is actually really good because, again, you want to have low casting stuff creatures and just keeping your cards filled up because there are certain cards in this deck that do give you benefits for having, fairies in your hand. So in this situation, I actually drew into a fairy myself, which, not super fun, but that's okay. At this point, what I'm probably going to want to do, because again, this will gives me a value from having, you know, played as a 4th card per turn. I don't really want to do that. And as you can see in the last play, you can actually attack either the player directly or the creatures. And there's always like this really interesting decision you have to make, whether if you want to destroy their creatures or just start going for their life points. Because this end, that's what this number is dictated by. So, at this point, what I will probably do is, there's not a whole lot I can actually do. I'm going to, let's see, release 2 other creatures for this turn. So I'm not really going to play that because, again, I need to play, because, again, this deck also does give the ability of getting benefits from playing multiple cards per turn. So for now, I'm just going to play a Fairy and a May Eager Elf. Unfortunately, we're not getting the best cards opening up, but that's fine. There also is an evolution mechanic that nearly every single creature does have abilities to evolve into, which when we get the ability to do that, we'll kind of go over that, which is a really interesting mechanic. Ooh, here we go. So we draw into Tian Crystallian Noble. So it has a put of Eve into your hand and change its cost to 3 as 2 other cards were played. So we definitely want to hold on that for a little bit here. So at this point, what I'm going to do, because now I can actually start finally attacking, which is actually pretty cool. So that is not a bad thing at all. And I also want to consider the fact that I'm going to be evolving soon. So we might want to keep that in consideration as well, because this creature can attack twice per turn once it's evolved. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to play Irene. And I want to make sure Irene can stay here. So I don't want to take the possibility chances of anything dying next turn. So I'm just going to have this fairy attack this fairy. And I think we're going to call it good. So we're just going to pass turn here at this point. Because between going first and second, there's actually certain benefits as well. If you do go second, you do open up more cards. And you can also evolve a little bit sooner. Ooh, that was actually pretty rough. Because as you may have seen, she did play a creature due to having a fairy in her hand that allowed her to deal damage, I'm sorry, by playing 2 other cards. So at this point, it kind of did change up my play, but we're not too concerned. I can still do some pretty fun things here as well. Because now, as you can see, for every creature in my deck, pretty much, they do have an evolved ability, which is really, really nice. So at this point, if we do evolve it, it becomes a 4/4, and it also gives me a Fairy Wisp and a Fairy into my hand, which is not a bad thing at all. So, considering that being the situation, we are going to look into seeing about doing our first evolution for the turn. For now, what we're going to do is we're going to play Wellspring Elf Princess. And then to evolve a creature, you can just simply click onto it and actually go for the evolve mechanic, which is really nice. But we're going to do that right now. It also changes the art of the card too, which is always really nice. Like, I've actually really enjoyed that about Shadowverse as well. So now we have our additional creatures in our hand, which is pretty good. Because again, this is a 0 casting creature, which is pretty nice. But it does get banished from 2 other cards to play this turn. And one thing I do like about this game as well, it does have a number of cards play turn counter here, so you don't have to worry about forgetting if you actually do that. So at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to also summon this creature as well. So now that we have that, and we also did an evolution here, we are going to start doing some damage here. So again, because we evolved this turn, we can start attacking. I'm going to, let's see, we're going to get rid of, I suppose, this one for now. Because again, if it doesn't evolve, it could be a little bit of a bigger threat, and I don't really want to deal with that. But I really wish we did open up better to an opening hand. Unfortunately, I have no more counter plays over here, so we're just going to end our turn. Because usually with this deck, I have a combo that we usually do set up, such as using a special tree to be able to give us constant fairies being added to the board, plus with the 1/1 abilities. Oh, wow. Turn another flower to the player's hand. Yikes. Alright, that's okay. So at this point, we're now at 5, which is actually pretty good. And we can still evolve our creatures, as you can see down below there, which is really, really nice. So at this point, what we were going to do, again, we do have some creatures that do get abilities from, like, you know, playing multiple cards. So at this point, I'm going to look into taking a moment to actually decide what I want to do. So this is actually a pretty good creature, just because if 2 other cards were played this turn, gain the ability to evolve for 0 evolution points. 0 evolution points is actually really good, just because you can basically evolve a creature for free. And who doesn't like free stuff? I mean, I like free stuff. So with that being said, we are going to be able to just use our Fairy Wisp. It is going to be 0 and then just go away. But the fact that it still adds to our card counter is really nice. because now we can actually use this ability and evolve it for free. Plus, again, the Fanfare ability is really nice. So we're going to do that really quick. So again, we got a free evolution out of nothing, which is really, really nice. Plus, we get additional creatures added to our hand as well. So with that being said, it is really, really nice we do have things such as that. So now I can actually see about just getting rid of this card without having to worry about too much else things going on. So we're going to get rid of that. This thing is going to survive, which is really cool because it does have more than enough damage. And unfortunately, I can't really do anything else. So we're just going to have to pass our turn. And because we kept our young cat in our hand, one of ours got a 0+1, which is pretty nice. Because again, if it stays alive a little bit longer, it's always a good thing. To an enemy, and if I lose 2 of the creatures, oh wow. And again, like one of the things I do like about this game as well, it does a lot of emphasis on, you know, the importance of the orders of cards that you're playing, which is always really, really interesting in my opinion. Put a fairy in your hand if an ally knew... Okay, so that'd actually be really good if we actually had them other creatures. So as you can tell, one of the things we do actually play here is Netarian Great Trees, which do gives us additional value depending on, like, you know, what cards are actually in play. So give another unevolved ability. Ooh, that is really nice. So we're gonna actually play this probably next turn because again, evolving for 0 evolution points is super good. So we're gonna start dropping a ton of stuff on our field here. So at this point, we're gonna play the young cat because again, we got to get some kittens on the board. We are going to then play Christina Eva. We are then, so we're at 2 right here. So we want to try to keep it up to the 4th card. So, because when this is a 4th, we just get a little bit more value here. So we still have plenty of evolution points. I'm sorry, not evolution points, but turn points. So now we're going to invoke this card and then be able to do at least a little bit more damage here. Because now this is going to be the 4th one. And again, just dealing 4 randomly to it and also just getting your entire board back is really, really nice. So at this point now we should be able to go a little bit further here than as well. If not, even just sitting with this is actually pretty good too. Sorry, I'm actually like taking a look and think about what to do at this point. So with the evolved, unfortunately, none of these really have any abilities for evolving. So I don't really think I want to really do anything else because we're going to save that for Cynthia the Queen's Blade. Because again, that's going to be really nice. But it's also just interesting to see how fast things can actually go onto the battlefield. Okay, so this is actually pretty cool too. So as you can see, this creature has a bunch, has like, you know, a shield around it, which means it has ward. So with the creature having ward, you have to attack it and get rid of it first before it can start attacking other creatures or the player itself. So not a huge big deal, but it is kind of annoying. And there's also one more thing that is very, very interesting about this game that really changes it up dramatically. So you can, your entire, like, you know, attack phase, play phase is all the same. So there's no different phases like, you know, main phase, battle phase. It's all one go. So you can literally throw all your monsters at once and then just start doing your plays. So now that we're actually at this, we are going to, so we just did our first attack so we can fill up our board because you only have 5 creatures on the board. I'm going to play Cynthia. So now that we can actually give somebody else an ability to rival up. So we're going to give it to this tree because why not? Because again, this will just be really good. Because again, 5/3 is going to be pretty good. It can easily take care of this, and I can start swinging with my other creatures and just do more damage. So we're going to attack the ward thing, get rid of it, because again, we already did the 1 damage. Now this kind of opens up to other plays that we can actually do. So I could always see about getting rid of the fighter, but I'm not really going to focus much on that. I have not been doing much damage at all, so I actually want to start attacking the player here. Just to be able to give us some kind of lead here. And with that being said, we're just going to pass our turn because we can't really play anything else. And one of the things I do like about this deck as well is that it does give the ability of just, like, you know, getting value by playing other cards, which is pretty cool. Ooh, the Fairy Whisper. So I actually kind of like the Fairy Whisper, to be honest, just because it keeps your hand full. Like, having your hand full and just playing multiple cards and getting like benefits, really, really good. So at this point, the Okami is going to be a little bit of an issue. So I definitely want to make sure we get rid of that because, again, it gets a +1/0 anytime another creature enters the battlefield on their end. And I hit the wrong button. Wow. So we are probably screwed. but we're gonna be okay. Ooh, wow, it actually has Ward now too. All right, so, ooh, okay, so now we are good. Onama's Prime Okami, this is actually fantastic. So we can definitely turn this around just with this alone. Because as you can see, it has Storm. So with Storm, followers that Storm can attack the same turn they are played, which is really, really nice. So return 2 other allied creatures to your hand, summon X Okami equals X number of cards returned. So we're actually going to do that right now. Because returning these 2 is not going to be a bad thing at all, because we can reuse their effects later on. So we're going to exchange those 2 little fairies for 2 of those Okami things, which is actually really, really nice. And now because he has Storm, I can actually see about using her to take care of this. You can have this is still alive, but these have Rush, so we are good. And then we could take care of this, because again, I just don't want that to take out this creature right now as well. So we are also going to take care of the fairy, because again, they have no cards in their hands, so this actually be really beneficial for us. And with that being said, again, we still have access to 2 more points, and we can still summon to our heart's content. So with that being said, we haven't played enough 4 cards, so it would make a lot of sense doing that. I'm just simply going to play Fairy Whisper, because again, having a bigger hand is always beneficial for this deck, because again, we got the 2 drops here for the Okami's effect. And again, having a bunch of low casting cost creatures generally is pretty benefit, because that's what we want to really do. So there's a lot of interesting things you can do with this game, considering the fact that all of your turns and your abilities and plays are done in one phase. Ooh, we got Blossom Spirit. So this is actually a really good card, because if you have a Nurturing Great Tree as in play, you get to summon a fairy, and whenever a fairy comes into play, you give it a +1/+1. So it just adds up to the value immensely. So at this point, here's what I want to do. This thing is kind of annoying, so we're actually going to have to get rid of it at some point. We can see about evolving Cynthia as a Queen Blade, and if we do, we get 2 fairies out on the board, which is pretty good value if you do ask me. So what we are going to do first, we're just going to attack with our Whisper. That's going to put that lower to the point, but we can still go through. We're going to evolve this, putting it at a 7/9. That's actually pretty big, not going to lie. And then we get 2 fairies summoned just instantly, and that's going to buff up our Okamis considerably. We're going to use this to attack over on this, which is going to keep this alive, which is really good. Again, we have nearly a full hand, and we have some pretty big creatures here now on board. So now we're going to start attacking directly. And that just does a ton of damage right from the bat. And we haven't even used really any of these points, which is insane. Like, the evolution mechanic in this game can be pretty busted at some points. And again, this is just scratching the surface on some of the things you can actually do. I mean, I don't care that we lost Cynthia, because we have these really big Okami creatures. We're already so far ahead. And, ooh, this is actually a really good card. Especially, like, because again, with this card, you deal 2 damage to an enemy follower, then if you have a fairy in your hand, deal 2 to all enemy followers. So, essentially, especially in a low, costing Ferris's deck, this is going to essentially be a board wipe. Because again, we do have plenty of fairies in our hand. So, and again, just having, the additional damage is really nice. Plus, the Okamis are getting additional attack points. We're just going to evolve them just because we can. And again, with the evolving mechanic, you just get so much more benefits, because now that we evolve, we get to put a Cinnamon Pack into your hand, which is not even really needed, but we're just going to go for the win considerably here. So let's start attacking. And that's essentially it. I mean, honestly, with Shadowverse, I have been having a lot of fun, and there's actually been a lot of things that are really interesting with this game. Like the fact that everything can be done in your main phase, because again, you can attack in your main phase and then kind of like, take a step back, summon creatures, evolve, and just all the benefit and values you can do with deck building. To me, it is really interesting, and honestly, I can definitely see myself playing this game for quite some time, especially considering the fact they have like, an unlimited format, rotation format. So yeah, honestly, I've been having a lot of fun with this game. Let me know your guys' thoughts down on this game below. I'm really curious to be able to see if you guys have played Shadowverse, if you guys have looked into it. But because honestly, it's a lot of fun. I mean, it has a lot of similarities to other card games, but then again, what really doesn't? Let me know down below what your thoughts are. Comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. This was a little bit of an impromptu video, but I just want to show you guys a little bit more of an idea of like what other card games are out there. Again, there is so much more I haven't really touched on this game in this video, but if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll do my best to assist. And let me know if you guys actually like this content. This is MetallicTCG signing off. Everybody have a great rest of your day, and I'll catch you in the next video.